Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of How Do I Wedding. I'm Elaina, your guide down the aisle, and today's topic is bridal party or wedding party, bride tribe, whatever you choose to call your wedding squad. This is one of the best ways to get your friends and family close around you and as hyped up for your wedding as you are. So stay tuned as I guide you down the aisle on your wedding party. Say that your wedding party is a mix and match. Everybody and their mom is going to have an opinion on this, but ultimately it's up to you and your partner. Now, if you're like me and you have a lot of guy friends, that might mean that you want some guys on your side of your wedding party. So it's not necessarily just, a girl squad. It could be a guy squad too. It's all a mix and match. We're in 2018. Do what you want on your wedding day, right? And traditionally, you do want to have girls on one side, guys on the other. That's absolutely beautiful too. Another thing is that they can be any age. If you want your great-great-Grammy to be standing there as your maid of honor, that's absolutely fine. The same way if you want her to be your flower girl. If you want your 6-year-old little sister to be your bridesmaid, that's fine too. There really is no age limit on here. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about some wedding expectations or wedding party expectations too. And I mean, that obviously might change depending on that person's age or, what have you. But ultimately, it doesn't really matter. If you want them to be part of your squad, they're going to be part of your squad. It's your wedding day, right? Another thing is that you don't necessarily have to be all matchy-matchy. Some brides like it where everybody wears the exact same thing right down to the earrings. Some brides are like, wear something black or wear something pink, and that's good enough for them. So we're going to talk about that a little bit more in a second, but I just want to say, it's not really necessary for them to be matchy-matchy. Again, up to you. And last but not least, you don't have to have, just an idea. What if you didn't have the same number of people on your side as the groom does? It's not necessary. If you're only close to like 1 or 2 really close people, but he or she has, 5 different really, really close friends, they don't necessarily have to match up. Again, all up to you. Next, we're going to talk about some people who may not be necessarily right in your wedding party for whatever reason. Maybe it's a financial, maybe they just can't go with the expectations that are needed of them, that are required of them to be part of your wedding party. And again, we are totally going to get to all of those expectations, especially next episode. But right now, all I'm saying is if for whatever reason someone is not in your wedding party, but they're still really special to you, you can find ways to honor them. So you have your ushers, your readers, your guest book keepers. There are a million other roles that you can put someone in that's obviously really, really special as well. That's not necessarily them in your wedding party standing right there at the aisle with you. So, as I said, next week's episode is going to be a lot more about what are some common wedding party expectations, but knowing what to expect is really important. So, the number one thing that I find when I'm talking to brides is that they're suffering from friendships with their bridesmaids or bridesmen or whatever. And I think a lot of it has to do with managing expectations. The people in the wedding party don't know how much is expected of them, and so friendships can suffer from that. And I mean, we really need to see that. And so next week we're definitely going to talk about how to avoid some of that with some of these expectations. And if someone can't meet those expectations, because there are a lot of financial costs involved or planning costs or time costs, and so associated. And so I think that if they can't meet those expectations, maybe honor them in some other way, like the ones I previously mentioned with the readers or what have you. So next we're going to talk about kind of what could be a tricky subject. So if somebody asks you to be their bridesmaid or groomsman at their wedding, that doesn't necessarily mean they have to be that at yours. I would say if the friendship is really great, then invite them. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to extend that same, honor back at them, especially if you're not as close anymore or it's been a little while. Again, no pressure, just a thought to take the pressure off of you. And last, if you don't want a fancy squad name, you've heard them, bride tribe, bride squad, those. But you don't want it to be normal. You want it to be out of the box, just like you and your partner, just like your wedding day. Here are a few for you, and I'm going to read them because there's no way I can contain all this just in my head. The bridesmen and groomsmaid, if you're, just switching it up like that. The bride's minions, the Pew crew, the I Do crew, the Friends of Honor, the Posse, and last but not least, my personal favorite, the Matrimony Homies. That's probably what mine will be called. So once again, we'd like to thank Showbride and Brian Charles Holmes for their advice. Be sure to tune in next week. We're going to be talking about some common expectations that couples have for their wedding party. As I said, it's the #1 issue I see brides suffering from, and I want to help you work through that and get through that, or even better, just completely avoid that. So always be sure to hit that subscribe button, tune in next week, and we will see you on How Do I Wedding.